Hey everyone, it's Jared Falk from Drumeo, and I'm super excited to be here with David Ward from Musicians on the Record.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This is huge, musicians on the record. Bring it on.
Hey, welcome to Musicians on the Record, the show where we get the musician's story. And I'm super excited to have the CEO, president, and any other important title that you can think of. Mr. Jared Falk of Drumeo is on the show again today. Welcome, Jared.
Hey, David, thank you so much for having me here. As you can see, I wore a special collared shirt just for you.
I thought you had business meetings. That's for me. I'm very honored, man. That's pretty cool.
This is business, my friend. This is business.
That's right. It's all business. And it's the music business, right? That's the very cool thing about it. You know, I wanted to start with, you are really actually a good example of like the Field of Dreams stuff. Build it and they will come. And that means hard work involved in that. But, you know, you're hanging out with guys like Carmine Appice, Billy Cobham, Dennis Chambers, Dave Garibaldi. Did you ever imagine that it would go like this when you first started, what was it, Freedrumlessonscom?
The original site was, the first site ever was that me and my original business partner built, was called breaksticks.com.
Break sticks.
And we started by just having a forum, because videos back then weren't something that were shared online a lot. But that was the original community, and only 5 or 6 years after that did we start freedrumlessons.com.
Wow, amazing.
And no, I never ever would have expected it to go in this manner, or like I wouldn't. Every time I'm sitting beside one of these guys, like the other day I was in the room with Mark Juliana and Jason McGurr from Death Cab for Cutie. And I was doing an interview with them, and it's just like, oh my goodness. I'm sure you've had some of those moments too from the people that you get to talk to.
Sure, yeah, there's no question. Like you, so because it's a very cool thing. So, you know, because obviously for myself, being a drummer, being a Drumeo Edge member, and watching you and so many other folks on the team, and then getting to meet you and connect with you, that's just a very fun thing. So, do you get to jam with these guys as well? You know, Bernard Purdy, do you get to play with him?
No, we get to watch him play a lot. Like generally when people come out here, we want to do more of like a behind the scenes look at it so people can see how it all works. But generally they arrive on like a Sunday, and that evening they get settled. And then Monday morning they come in and it's sound check and set up. And, you know, we structure out the lesson, whatever needs to be done that we haven't done yet. And then we do the main live event. Then the next day is all spent filming exclusive content for Drumeo Edge members, lots of what you have probably seen. And so that keeps us like super busy. There isn't a lot of time to jam. The only guy I've jammed with, I believe, after a lesson was Matt Garsko is here from Animals as Leaders. And we finished his lesson. And we're like, well, it was like 5 or 5:30, and he had been playing and setting up all day. So we're like, oh, let's go get some dinner, right? We usually go for a nice dinner and I have some nice wine, relax. Sure. And that's like, I don't know if you know him or have interviewed him, but the guy's just like, when it comes to practicing, he's just he's just a freak when it comes to practicing. I hope I don't offend him, but he's like, let's just jam, let's shed. So we set up another kit, and he just absolutely crushed all of us. Yeah. And we just shed for another hour, 2 hours.
That's awesome.
It was a ton of fun.
It's amazing. Yeah, those guys who practice, you know, the two that come to mind for me that I've talked to are like Russ Miller and Benny Greb, who took out this book that they have, and they referenced it. Oh, this was on a Tuesday in 1997 where I did paradiddles at, you know, 174 BPM. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing, that practice routine.
Yeah, exactly. And everyone has their own methods. I always relate it more to like taking notes, like, or having a to-do list. You probably have your own method of creating a to-do list. I know my dad has his own method. He's still in the book. I have a book here. I still like write down a bunch of stuff. You know, everyone has their own method for organizing their life. And I know Benny is very strict with it. I'm much less strict with it. Everyone's different.
So the process actually then with an artist coming up to Drumeo takes a couple of days. They're there for a couple of days of filming.
Yeah, they usually arrive on a Sunday and then they leave on a Wednesday. So there's 2 full production days.
Yeah.
And it's tiring depending on how much we try and get done.
Sure.
So like we had when we had Gavin Harrison out, Gavin was just so willing to share and he just wanted to work. And so you've probably noticed that there's a bunch of these Gavin Harrison videos inside of Drumeo.
Amazing.
And that are exclusive for members. We have some shorter, we call them quick tip videos. And then we have some courses. I think there's the whole Grooves of Porcupine Tree as a course. You can't really get into everything in Drumeo, but
a lot of lessons.
Yeah, so that type of production was super busy.
Yeah.
And when Mark was just out, Mark Juliana, his setup was really simple. We just went with like 2 overhead mics, maybe a couple room mics and a bass drum mic. Hardly any close miking, so it was there's no music to play along with. Yeah. So there was more relaxed time throughout the day, which is nice.
Yeah. And how does that process happen? Where is it the artist who decides what they want to teach, or do you kind of throw something out there and say, hey, can you teach this?
Mm-hmm. Well, Dave Atkinson, you've interviewed him before.
Sure.
He is, we call like community manager. You could call him head of content. You could call him artist relations, many, many other hats.
Right.
And he will basically work with the majority of the artists to establish what they're going to do before they come out. And we always ask the artists, it's not about what we have, because there's around 3,000 or 4,000 hours of content. So good luck trying to come up with something that's completely brand new, right?
Right.
So it's not about necessarily what we have, it's about providing your perspective. And we say, what unique thing about yourself and your drumming and your drumming life that you think you can share? Don't think about what's already there. Don't think about any of that. We just want what's unique to you. So, if you look at some of the type of content that people put out, like we have a course from Todd Zuckerman on how to be a good sounding drummer. Mark Juliana did a course on creativity, obviously, because that's what he's known for. It's what he's best for. Gavin Harrison, Grooves of Porcupine Tree. So these guys naturally will be pulled into directions which they're most strong.
Yeah. And so who else might be coming up then for 2018 that you can share with us? Some other artists, Jared.
I should pull up the schedule because I don't even know. I know this week Gene Hoagland is coming out.
Yeah.
Strapping Young Lad.
Yes.
I know we're sponsoring the Hit It Like a Girl competition, so we have a bunch of great female artists coming out between March and April.
Nice.
Probably like 5 or 6.
Okay.
And we're really excited to be involved with Hit It Like a Girl. That's a great competition that really promotes more girls getting involved in playing drums.
Sure.
Dave just booked Harvey Mason to come out.
Great.
We're booked into summer, so I sound super flaky, but there's a long list.
Right, there is a list somewhere. It's in that computer, so
I can pull it up if you want.
if you want. So, how did that come about? That involvement with Hit Like a Girl. How did you guys get together with that?
Well, David Levine is someone who's just been in the industry for a long time. He's worked for many different companies, and now I don't even know what he's all involved with now, but I just know he's kind of one of these great businessmen that supports drumming and drums.
Great.
So he basically just approached us and asked us to be a part of it through sponsorship. Many, many other companies are getting on board. It's not about anything exclusive. There's other media companies, like I think I don't want to say, but I think a lot of the magazines are involved, and I think other drumming websites are involved, as well as a lot of the drum companies. We're stoked to be a part of it.
Yeah. And, you mentioned, you just about mentioned Modern Drummer, and you guys won the Best Education Award, correct?
That's right. Yeah, it's the first year that they've had this category for educational product, and we were nominated for that.
Great. Alongside
of some other really, really great websites and other products. And we're stoked to have won it.
Yeah.
It's always good, man. It's always good to get recognition and validation of your ideas and hard work. You know that. So.
Yeah. Well, and you guys rock. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Well deserved on it. It's a incredible site. So, and I love it that you're going to do that, like Hit Like a Girl, because you also have a pack on there with Maytel Cohen, and there's a lot of women, a lot of female drummers as part of the Drumeo community as well. So,
well, 5% of our total student base is female.
Wow. Great.
Which is, why can't it be 50-50? Right?
Exactly. Yep.
So that's what we want. And so, we're in other markets like guitar and piano as well, where we have educational websites, and the split is much more even.
Much greater. Can we talk about that? Those other programs that you guys have as well with guitar and piano? So
we own websites. We own guitarlessons.com and pianolessons.com. And those are basically just they're kind of like freedrumlessons.com in that there's a large library of just free lessons to support the community. And then we started similar websites to Drumeo. In guitar, it's called Guitario. Very, very clever name, something new. And piano is a hard one. We called it Pianote, which is like merging piano and note.
Yes.
But it's proven to be, it's proven to be hard to it doesn't necessarily roll off the tongue. So I'm hoping it catches on and becomes a household name, and then everyone just knows.
Right.
But you never know, right? So we're doing that, and then we're also getting into a home recording with a website called Recordio. Also, very clever name.
Well, it goes with the brand. I love it. And is that with Victor? Victor Gadara?
Yes.
Yeah. Say more about that.
Have you interviewed Victor before?
I interviewed him at NAMM last year.
Yeah. So Victor is basically, he went to school for recording years and years ago. Then he went and managed this really big commercial studio. That's where we originally met him, when we were shooting products. And then over the years, he basically built our first studio, and then our second studio, and then our third studio.
Wow.
Built, he did a lot. He swung a hammer a lot, as well as completely sound design, all of the cable architecture, whatever, sound treatment of the rooms, selection of gear, everything from studs to, plugging stuff in.
Wow.
And so then, in addition to that, he's been recording some of the greatest drummers in the world. And he's gotten pretty big accolades there when it comes to the sounds he's gotten, and working with these guys. They're always very impressed with, what he comes up with. And we don't have our studio is great when it comes to audio and video, but we're not like a studio with all the latest plugins and all the latest, most expensive mics. We can get a great sound out of our really nice sounding room, as well as a really solid engineer who knows how to use the gear he has. And Victor's one of those guys, he can work within any sort of thing. If you have a big budget, great, you'll get an incredible sound. If you have a small budget, great, you're still going to get a really incredible sound. And so the Recordio is basically going to be a platform similar to Drumeo. I call it social learning community. And that's where anyone who wants to start a home recording studio and wants a community kind of help them through this process, that's what that's going to be. So it's not for someone who owns a huge $1 million studio. It's for the people that want to put a studio in their garage, or they have a spare bedroom and they want to make that into a studio. Recording is becoming so much more accessible, and we see it as a kind of a gap right now in all of our student communities, where they've created this music now. Now, how do I actually record it and get it, decent quality?
No doubt. And then the DAWs, the DAWs, there's a bunch of those out there. So yeah, that'd be great to talk with Victor. When you built your new studio, which I saw you guys go through the process, and I sent my gift, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What was the process of that? And if Victor was here with us, what would he say was the top one or two things as far as making a soundproof studio? You have that.
Well, to make it completely soundproof is hard. Even at our space here, we were putting up layers of drywall with green glue in between, and to the point where the engineers were saying, you can't add any more drywall because it's too heavy for the level above.
Yeah.
And so soundproof with drumming is really, really hard. When it comes to the most important things to be aware of, I think some things I wish we would have done more of is try to make a few, like the main control room a little bit bigger. And the control room is a place where everyone always hangs out, and so I found our control room a little bit too small. And but other than that, it's like our studios are very functional, but they get used every single day. Like there's not a lot that I would do differently.
Yeah. And you're recording, but you guys, I mean, there's a ton of content that you're putting out there. And say a little bit about your team. You have a great team working for you, and even the editing, the sound, and the video. Talk about those folks.
So I think we have over 30 people now on staff full time. That's full time in house, and then well over 100 instructors around the world. That are just part-time on contract to do specific lessons here and there. And the staff here, I have around 8 editors. So we call them production, because a lot of our editors cross-train. Like they'll go into the studio, they'll be a camera op, they'll help with lighting, and then they'll go and cut their video, right? Then I have around maybe 8 marketing teams. So we have like data and analytics and marketing director, social media. What else? Creative director. And then we have community. We call them community support. And those people basically just support our students from billing issues to, I can't figure out how to hold the drumstick properly or hold my guitar. And we have staff that can help with that sort of thing. And then there's obviously accounting, kind of that kind of stuff. And then we have development. I have a development team of 5 or 6 people now. So yeah, it's grown. Last year we hired 10 people, I think. And this year we've already hired 3 more.
It's incredible. It's really wonderful. It's amazing how it's growing. And all of that is under Dave Atkinson's job description, right? He does all of that, right?
Exactly. Right. He can do a lot of it. When I originally hired Dave, he was driving forklift. And then he came in and his first job was like proofing drum book. Huh. And then he was doing graphic design, and then he went on to do sales. And then he's literally done every single job here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Man needs a raise. I'm rooting for you, Dave. So the goal, Jared, I'm wondering, with Guitario, with Piano, with Recordio, are we hoping that, Clapton shows up and gives lessons, Elton John and Eddie Kramer for Recordio? Are you hoping to get some of those kind of artists like on Drumeo?
Eventually, that is the goal. Like, Drumeo was built over a long, like people see it as, you've really blown up. It's gone, you've gotten big fast. It's like, it hasn't necessarily been a quick process. It's taken a lot of time and energy. And so the other markets, or whatever you want to call them, other communities, we try and build a foundation of a curriculum first. We try and build a foundation of a community first, and then we figure out, hey, where is this going to go? Because it is a living and breathing thing, right? And so with guitar, the plan is eventually to have guitar guests come out, but we're not necessarily at the point where we're ready to go and ask Eric Clapton to come out. Right. Same with piano, but eventually, yes, that is the plan.
That'd be fantastic. That'd be awesome. Yeah. And who, at least on the drum side so far, Jared, who haven't you worked with yet that you'd really would love to, that you'd be stoked to have come on Drumeo?
Mm-hmm. Carter Beauford, for one of my favorite drummers. Vinny Colaiuta, another great drummer. We'll have Dave Wekela. I know Dave has his own teaching website as well, so I think it would be a perfect fit.
Sure.
Those are like 3 quick ones just off the top of my head.
Yeah. All amazing drummers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've reached out and invited them. So
yeah, we have.
Hopefully that'll happen. Yeah, of course. That's great. So say a little bit more about what else is coming up new for 2018. I know you've got the program with Bruce Becker, which is great. Say a little bit more about that and anything else coming up for 2018.
Yeah, we launched Drum Technique Made Easy. That's the technique course. It's a 26-week course with Bruce, and it's just going great. Other than that, we're always working on improving the platform and the student experience. So we want to create tools and services and content that really helps drummers get better and keeps drummers engaged in playing drums, right? And so we got some new content formats. So we're launching something called Drumeo on the Road, which is where we go to different locations and do filming. Like, it's almost more like a TV show. It's educational, but not in the sense where you're going to have to go do a bunch of exercises after you watch this. We are launching an entirely new platform where it's going to, I don't want to give away too much because I don't know how it's going to look right now, but it's going to change the experience completely, and hopefully make our students more engaged in the process of learning. That's the goal. So
little top secret here, but not ready to be revealed yet.
I just don't want to say it's too much, and then my development team be like, "Oh, why did you say that?"
Right.
So
right. Sure, I get it. Yeah.
But yeah, we're always working on things that are gonna make drumming more sticky. Okay, so there's a lot of people who start playing drums and then who will then lose interest 3 to 6 months later. And from a business perspective, it's bad. From a drum community perspective, it's bad, right? And so we want to continue to grow the drum community, and we want to continue to grow our business. Same thing goes for in guitar and piano. Like, everyone's had those moments where they decide to do something like exercise, for example, and then, oh, I stopped, right?
Yeah.
So we're doing that. We're one thing I'd love to do, and I'm still not 100% sure of, is I would love to launch Drumeo in another language. So I think I talked to you about that last time.
Yes, when we were at BAM. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to do because it's not just as simple as a product. It's very much like a service. And so in order for me to do like Drumeo in Portuguese, we need to have Portuguese speaking customer support. We need to have Portuguese speaking instructors. We can't just translate the content and then leave it like that. Because students need help. Students can't just have a media dump of information and say good luck with it.
Right.
That's not what we do here. So,
tell me again that when we were walking to the convention center that day, you told me this stat that I was just like, wow, that's amazing. You get how many phone calls and emails a day from students?
I think around. And it depends on what it's like, but it's between 300 to 500 per day when it comes to emails. And it might be more than that, like if you factor in everything, every platform. But that's good. We try and answer everyone. Stuff falls through the cracks all the time, but we try our best to connect with every student.
And these are drum-related questions on certain lessons, certain courses, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, drum-related, or just discussion like, hey, they're telling us about something that happened, and they're just, drummers like to talk, like musicians in general just like to talk about their interests, right? And so
that's right. Yeah. You did a video in your successful drumming pack that was about playing with a band or playing with a bassist. Is this going to be stuff like how to set up or what to do when you're playing in a bar or at an auditorium? Is that what you mean by the location things?
Like Drumeo on the Road?
Yes, I'm sorry, Drumeo on the Road.
Yeah. No, those is like, there's 2 videos that are done right now in that series. One is where I went to ProMark. I went to like Elkton, Tennessee to their sawmill. And then I also went to, I forget the city in Texas. It's on the video, but I went there and I toured the factory and I showed you each step within the process.
Great.
And introduced you to some people from those companies. Because I find a lot of these bigger companies, they are kind of like faceless and nameless. You know what I mean? Like, so who's ProMark? Like, who is that?
Right.
And these companies, they try and humanize themselves through artists.
Yeah.
But the artist's goal is not to humanize a corporation, right? They're looking for support for what they do. And so I think it's a really good thing to showcase the companies more, like, I did ProMark and I did Evans, and show you who's there. Like let you see the workers, let you see the factories, let you see how this stuff is actually made. I think you'll have a deeper appreciation for drumsticks when you see, what all the stuff that goes into making a drumstick at ProMark, and same goes with drum heads. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, it's an amazing process, and what they start with, what they come out with. So that's very cool. We'll look for that. That sounds very exciting.
Cool.
I also, when we were at NAMM, I was interviewing Mike McAlco. Mm-hmm. I had the pleasure of doing that, and we were hanging out by the huge Peisty gong. It was a lot of fun. And we were talking about what the process is like when an artist comes up to Drumeo, and is it their gear, your gear? It sounds like you have a whole warehouse of many cymbals and drums. Can you talk about that process? Is it usually your drums or their drums that they're bringing out?
I would say it's becoming more our drums because we accumulate more and more. Yeah. I would say it's probably around 75% our kit and 25% when a kit gets sent in. And that's sometimes it's to do with the artist's specifications. Sure. So like when Todd Zuckerman comes in, his kit is just massive, the gong drum. And so for that one, it was specific what he needed, and Pearl sent out a kit. Yeah. But Dennis Chambers is also able to play the same kit. Okay. So that worked out. Yes. But you'll see like I have a DW exotic kit that's been played by almost all of the DW artists. So, yeah, and then we have with cymbals, it's the same thing. Like Zildjian has sent us a ton of stuff. I'm a Peisty. You can call me a Peisty collector, I guess. I have so many Peisty cymbals. Yeah. And we have some Sabians here. We have some Meinls here. So we have lots of really good gear on hand. But cymbals are different. I would say it's probably, they rarely will only use our stuff. They'll either bring some or get some sent out.
I know it might change from day to day or, over time, but at least for today, what is your dream kit and cymbal setup right now?
Dream kit? Oh, that's a good one.
I know that DW set. I've seen that for years now, and you were stoked when that came in.
Yeah, I was. My dream set, man. I think I have one of my dream sets downstairs. It's like I just got the new Yamaha 50th anniversary kit, and it's gorgeous, man. It's like I don't know if I could get much better than that, but I'm into like the drums that double as furniture or like decorative furniture, right? That's cool. When it comes to cymbals, I just like brand new Peisty signature full cymbals that there's hardly any logo on there. I think they're so clean sounding and pure. I think they're so consistent. So yeah, I'm very fortunate to I'm almost there.
Right. I mean, but you have the best excuse to keep collecting as well.
Exactly.
It's like, honey, I got to get it for the studio, right?
Exactly.
That's awesome. Well, that's cool. I'll be on the lookout for what's coming up more around that. You also have a gentleman who I just recently interviewed as well, Mr. Austin Burcham, with his very cool thing of Study the Greats, specifically for Drumeo. Talk about that and how you got connected with Austin.
Yeah. So I just followed Austin I found him on YouTube, or found him through a recommendation of someone else, and I saw he was doing this Study the Greats thing, and I'm like, that's like a really cool idea. So I just asked him, do you want to create a series of Study the Greats episodes exclusive for Drumeo students that are based off of Drumeo performances? Oh, wow. So that's the cool thing. It's like, it's like Inception, right? It's very, very meta. So Todd Zuckerman, I think, was the first one, and he went through Todd's lesson and chose a few parts of his solo and everything, and then he kind of broke that down and talked a little bit more about some of those things that Todd did. Wow. And it's really a great content, I think. Like, you never would think, oh, you're doing a lesson on a lesson, but it's not really a lesson. It's more something you could just watch. It's just interesting.
Yeah. It's a wonderful analysis and the way he breaks it down. It's usually a groove or a lick or some kind of fill, and it's just very cool what he does. Any plans to have the familiars out, even Cobus? Any plans to have him or others?
We'd love to have him back. It's just a matter of, like, every year we talk about it. I feel like we text back and forth. We say, oh, let's do it this year, and we have some good ideas, but and you know, he gets super busy because I know he's always very busy, and we're also very busy. But it will happen. I would love to do like a drumming influencers summit or something where I get all of these great like drummers like Maytel and Luke Holland and Casey and Cobus and all these people who have these big online followings or who are maybe mostly known for being online, as opposed to being known from a famous band, and doing some like influencer summit and get them all together and just like shred for a week.
Right.
And create really, really cool drum videos. That'd be pretty fun.
That'd be great. A lot of the trading fours and stuff like that. That would be a blast. So
yeah,
very cool. You know, some people, I mean, I think you are living the dream as far as like, you know, it's a business, you work really hard. And you're in the music business. You get to play music a lot. You get to be with some of these folks. What lessons are you still teaching or wanting to teach, or are you more letting these other folks come in and teach more?
I would definitely say letting others come in and teach more. I had gotten to the point where I absolutely love to teach, but I think I just needed to take a step back from that and really work on my own playing. And that's what I've been doing more of. Like I was practicing for an hour and a half yesterday, and practice the day before. I try and practice, you know, a couple hours a week, and so I just wanted to like really work on some of my own stuff, and then I still will do the odd lesson, but it's not like I'm going to be in 100% of the videos ever.
Sure.
Like, yeah, I'd like to keep it just like I'll share my perspective on a specific topic that I feel most comfortable with, but then I'm not going to go and teach, you know, a songo groove when I've never played a songo groove in a band ever in my life. I'm not going to teach porcupine tree grooves when we literally had Gavin Harrison out here. It's so there's certain things I will just never do anymore, just because we have the benefit of working with people who are literally the best in the world at those things.
Right. Amazing. Yeah. And so what are you working on personally then in your drumming, and what, in addition to, you know, being with Drumeo and continuing to grow, what are some of your own personal music goals?
I've always, for the last couple of years, when it comes to music goals, I've wanted to do an album, like a full album. I have a background in piano, and so I understand how to create melodies, understand the scales, all that sort of thing. But I wouldn't necessarily do all the writing on my own, but I would work with a piano player to give him some ideas to like as starting points. So that's one of my musical goals. I have no idea when it's going to happen. Don't hold me to it. When it comes to what I'm working on, like yesterday I was practicing. I go into Drumeo and I use the play along section, and there's some play alongs from Stanley Randolph's lesson. So there's a song in there called Timeline.
Okay.
I was practicing that yesterday, and it's crazy hard shots, these specific areas. They were so much fun. He's amazing.
Yeah. Right? So
I was working on that, and then I was working on just some like cleaning up the separation between the hands and the feet. So like 5s and 7s played to a metronome over 16th notes, and then transitioning between those. The more you work on like the vocabulary and like just make it easy to say certain words on the drums, the more naturally it will come out when you get into a situation where you need to use them. So I try and just keep my chops up.
Sure. So what you're saying is your album is coming out later this year. That's what you're telling us, right?
It'll drop tomorrow. So
you're going to put it free in everybody's iTunes account, right?
Exactly. It's mandatory listening,
whether they want it or not.
Exactly.
Are you in a band, Jared? Do you play with others?
No, not really.
Is that a goal? Not
right now.
Yeah.
You know, like, and there was a time I might have been embarrassed to say that because, as a musician and as a drummer, my end goal should be to play music. And it's definitely the case. I love playing music, but right now I'm so happy doing what I'm doing. I'm so I still get to play music. I still get to, there's some band that I'm jamming with every once in a while, but not something that I would I'm ready to show anyone or anything like that. And
because I also see, you share some posts sometimes of your family and your kids, and you're out fishing and out in nature, which is very cool to see. And you talk about, not drumming at times. How do you strike that balance? Because this is really busy with what you're doing, and then you got a family that you're raising as well. So.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I just had to try my best to be very intentional about. As a as a drummer, if I can relate everything back to there, I always want to get better. I always want to improve. I always want to keep practicing. So there's this spirit of self-improvement. In business, I would say my spirit of self-improvement is stronger than that in drumming. So I want to become a better business person than I do even a drummer. I don't know if you follow what I'm saying, but
I do, yes.
So for me, it's I should have that same drive for my family. I want to create this great, life for my two boys and my wife. And that finding a balance between that is this is the most challenging thing ever, man. Yep. I don't have the answer. All I can tell you is it's freaking hard. And I think everyone struggles with that to a certain extent. If you are a person who is I'm hell-bent on improvement and not staying in the same spot. I want to become better. I want to be better tomorrow than I was today.
Sure.
So,
yeah, it's definitely one of the challenges, and, practice makes progress, it sounds like. So
yeah.
Continuing every day. That's a challenge, certainly, in the business. What are some of the other challenges? We spoke a little bit about that, even with social media, and, when we connected at the NAMM show and some of the social media stuff. Talk about some of the challenges there.
Well, specifically, I tried talking about when we got blasted with fake reviews. And so we had worked hard on building our kind of brand on Facebook. And this is just a lesson for everyone. And if you're building anything online, never build your entire house on rented land.
Right.
So if your entire platform is on Facebook, you should be really worried because, Facebook just changed their algorithm, and now less of your posts are showing. So that's a side point. But we had someone basically buy 6,000? No, 3,000 one-star reviews. They basically, and I found the website where they bought them from. It's crazy. Anyone can go do it. And so our rating went from 4.9 out of 5 stars to 3.2 stars. And when you're looking at a company, if you typed in drums or Drumeo on Facebook and you're checking on us to see if we're a reputable company, and you see 3.2 out of 5, people online are mostly headline readers, and so they think, Drumeo must not be very good.
Right.
So this made me upset, and so what I did is I filmed a video, ended up getting our community to leave us another 3,000 honest reviews. Not all 5; they weren't all 5-star, because I don't care if a review is 1 star if it's actually truly a user, right?
Yeah.
So then we got the rating up to 3.7 just on new reviews. Then we finally, after months and months, I was contacting Facebook every day. They finally said we can't do anything.
Wow.
We can't remove reviews in aggregate, so you're stuck. And I just could not believe it.
Sure.
So then I shared that message online with Facebook saying we basically allow this.
Right.
That's what they're saying.
Right.
And it's one of our students whose husband knows someone who works at Facebook, got the message to someone who could actually do something.
Oh.
And they ended up removing all of those fake spam reviews.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So now we have something like 12,000 5-star reviews.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, it's incredible. So in the end, it's not over yet, because someone could still go tomorrow and buy more 1-star reviews, which I don't know who did it. I would hate for it to be someone in our one of our competitors or whatever however you want to call it. But
Sure.
it would be really, really shady for someone to do that. And I hope it wasn't. I hope it was just like a random attack, but you never know.
Yeah.
So business stuff, that's kind of the things that I have to deal with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's challenging because there's usually nobody home at some of these social media companies to really contact unless you're, if you go down certain channels. So yeah. Sorry to hear it. And it sounds like it's turned out well, thankfully, with 12,000 5-star ratings.
Yeah.
Great.
But I mean, there's still a video that someone bought 10,000 dislikes on. It had 30,000 likes, this video, and like 3 million views. And then I guess someone's trying to drop it in the search listings. So they buy a bunch of dislikes to try and rank their video higher.
It's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's that business competition, whoever is doing that. That just means, Jared, you're making a difference actually with Drumeo, and you're being successful, and somebody's jealous and envious of you. So, to me, you just keep doing what you're doing and you guys will be fine. So
yeah, hope so.
Yeah. Well, I think you're absolutely right. Your business is your business, and then you market it through social media. It shouldn't be built on sand, like you're saying, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of people's business is, even in the drum space, they're building everything off of a platform that could disappear.
Sure.
Think about all the people that invested so much time into like MySpace when it first came out. Like entire bands had everything on MySpace.
Right.
Where are they now?
Yep. Get a website, right? So,
yeah.
No question. Yeah. So the other thing that I was curious about, and I spoke with Mike and Dave around this, is what's the latest or the update around the Drumeo app?
Drumeo app, yeah. So here's what happened there. We did all the discovery on an app. We spent around a month or 2 months. It's like this. The document was this thick. It was like over an inch thick. Because there's so much planning that goes into that. When you think about Drumeo, has probably got like 5,000 different pages inside of it, if not more. Like you think about the amount of content there.
Yes.
And then we were doing Guitario, and then we were doing piano, and so it got to the point where we were thinking, okay, we have piano like here, and we have Guitario here, we have Drumeo here when it comes to the development practices. So our plan now is to what we're doing is we're working on a new system that will allow us to unify all the platforms when it comes to technology.
Sure.
And once we can unify the platforms, then we can now build one kind of framework of an app and use it on all 3 different areas. And so we're basically shelved that for building this new platform. It's all very boring business stuff, but it's actually from a business perspective, it's really, really exciting.
Yes.
And we're building something really cool that's going to power our platform. I'm calling it Musora technology.
Musora, I love it. That's fantastic. Yeah. But all in one, that app will encompass all of it. Drumeo, Guitario, all of them.
Yes. Exactly.
That just makes sense. So you don't have to recreate the wheel every time you do it. So nice. Fantastic. Yeah. So in closing then, let me ask you, you mentioned that drummer who, just like working out, who got into drumming first 2 or 3 months and then might be losing some motivation, and that you would like to keep in the community. Mm-hmm. Can you say something to him or her that might, how do you help motivate that drummer? Yeah,
I think drumming is not meant to be about guilt. So I have a lot of students who will message me and say, "Oh, I'm so frustrated with myself. I just haven't been able to practice. I've been super busy." And all I say is, it's all good. It's all good. And it's the same thing with working out. Like people think if I'm not working out every day, then I might as well not work out at all. Or if I'm not working out, a minimum of 4 times a week, then I might as well not work out at all. And my thing is don't have this like stars align mentality and thinking that it's all has to be this way in order for you to continue doing it. Be happy if you get 15 minutes a week on the practice pad.
Sure.
That's better than nothing, right? 5 minutes is better than nothing. So don't necessarily worry about as much about, how much practice you're getting, or, if you're progressing at the rate that, in your mind you thought you would. Just worry about continuing to be involved in the community, whether that's through, just engaging socially or whether that is through playing gigs and all that sort of thing. But the drumming community needs everyone, all at different levels. And, not everyone, for a good example is not everyone plays video games professionally, but a lot of people still like watching people play video games.
That's right.
I always watch hockey. I'm not going out and playing hockey all the time.
That's
and
right.
So I would say to those people, just don't feel guilty. Just continue getting involved in the community, play as much as you can, but it is not about guilt.
That's fantastic. That's great advice. It's guilt-free drumming, everybody, with Jared Falk from Drumeo. Jared, thank you so much for being on Musicians on the Record.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, David.